On November 17, 1982, in the rural town of Blue Hill County, Pennsylvania, a couple named Ray and Olivia Anderson escort their son to his friend Parker's house and prepare to head to town for a few hours. They then bid farewell to their young daughter, Maisie, who's busy writing in her journal, and leave after promising to return as fast as possible. A couple of hours later, the couple returns home and is confused to find the front door open, the kitchen faucet running, and the house in disarray.
Maisie, the door's open!
You have a friend round?
Confused, Ray goes upstairs to check on Maisie, but is horrified to learn that she's nowhere to be found. Alarmed, the couple, along with the police and the community, frantically search for the young girl everywhere but find no trace of her. With the help of their close family and friends, the Andersons keep the hope of finding Maisie alive and continue to do everything they can for the next few months. However, as time passes, the unspeakable grief starts to put a strain on the family and their relationship with each other. Ray becomes a hostile, irritable man who spends his days and nights on the couch, wallowing in grief and becoming intolerable to Noah and everyone else around him, while Olivia puts her energy towards keeping the remaining family together. After 12 months of futile searching, Ray and Olivia decide to hold a memorial service for their young girl, organize a service at the local elementary school, and invite their close family, including Olivia's sister Arlene, her husband, Deputy Sheriff Kenneth Burrows, and Ray's brothers Morgan and Billy. Later that night, the group accompanies the Andersons to their house and keeps them company. Deputy Sheriff Kenneth wholesomely comforts the grieving father, while the rest try to distract themselves from their pain and turn on the TV. However, it's much of the same as the local broadcasting companies decide to revisit Maisie's disappearance on the one-year anniversary, hoping to spark new life into the case. As the family flips through the channels, they come across Deputy Sheriff Kenneth's touching memorial service speech.
We're not gathered here today to remember that, to remember how joyful she was.
While listening to the speech, the family somberly reflects on how bright Maisie was and how much they miss her, but is interrupted by Ray, who turns off the TV as he can no longer take the heaviness of the day. Then, while Noah storms off, annoyed, Olivia heads to Maisie's room, which is kept as is, and quietly mourns her beloved daughter. Seeing this, Arlene joins her grieving sister, comforts her, and promises to always be there for her. Later, everyone gathers around for dinner and spends a calm family time. However, this is interrupted when Ray starts rudely commenting on Billy's commitment issues. Furious on his uncle's behalf, Noah calls out his father and leaves the table, despite his mother's plea to calm down. A few hours later, Morgan takes Ray aside and shares how depressed he was after he lost his wife. He assures his brother that things will get better soon and advises him to be there for Olivia. However, Ray takes the advice the wrong way, lashes out at Morgan, announcing that he will never make peace with losing his daughter, and storms away. On the other side of the house, Kenneth pulls Olivia aside and, after tearfully sharing his guilt of letting down the family by not finding Maisie, he profusely apologizes. Touched by this gesture, Olivia calms down the deputy sheriff and assures him that there was nothing else he could have done. Meanwhile, Ray decides to be by himself and goes to the porch to peacefully think of Maisie. However, minutes later, he sees something strange from afar and wonders what it could possibly be. Then, suspecting that the local boys are lighting flares and fearing it would spook his beloved dog, Genghis, Ray decides to head to the woods and have a word with the perpetrators. Hearing this, Kenneth decides to call his colleague Sheriff Reese Jordan and informs him of the situation. Then, hoping to provide support, the men all decide to join Ray and drive with him to the woods in his truck. On the drive there, after making sure Noah is out of earshot, Billy advises his brother to talk to his son, support him, and help him process the traumatic experience before it's too late and their relationship becomes strained forever. However, the grief-stricken father rebukes this idea as he is too traumatized himself and doesn't know how to be there for his son.
You know what it's like to have a family, to raise a family?
No.
You can raise a loaf of bread.
In the woods, Ray orders Morgan to stay back with Noah while he, Kenneth, and Billy leave the car and go exploring for the cause of the light deeper in the woods. Meanwhile, at the house, Olivia and Arlene are disturbed by sudden thudding sounds echoing throughout. In the woods, while the trio surmises that they have scared off the boys and prepares to return to the truck, Morgan and Noah see strange phenomena. Meanwhile, something crashes at the house window. The women go out to inspect it and find a dead crow on the porch. In the woods, strange phenomena continue to occur in the car. Out of nowhere, a light is seen ascending through the trees. Before the men can process this, a different translucent light illuminates the forest. Then, to make matters worse, Morgan, who leaves the truck to investigate what's going on, disappears into thin air. Meanwhile, Ray runs back to the truck to check on Noah, while Kenneth is seemingly frozen in place. Hoping to escape the mysterious phenomena, Billy rushes Kenneth to leave, but instead of complying, the deputy sheriff freaks out.
No, why? Jesus!
While Ray searches for his brother, Billy pulls Kenneth out of his trance and drags him back to the truck. There, the utterly terrified group has no choice but to leave Morgan behind and speed out of the woods. The group arrives at the house safely and walks Kenneth in. As the women panic, wondering what happened to the deputy sheriff and where Morgan is, Ray tries to calm everyone down while announcing that everything must have a perfectly natural explanation. Despite Ray's resistance, Olivia tries to call the sheriff, but the call mysteriously drops. Then as Ray goes out to search for Morgan, Kenneth snaps out of his trance and tries to explain what happened, but fails.
Morgan?
Something's happening.
With a rifle in hand, Ray calls out and continues searching for his brother in the wooded backyard for a few more minutes, but finds no trace of him and is filled with more questions than answers. Ray then returns to the house, but before the group can process the inexplicable disappearance and discuss how to proceed, they hear sounds upstairs and cautiously follow them to Maisie's room. There they find a musical doll chirping away and turn it off. But before they can breathe a sigh of relief, inexplicable things continue happening around the house. Unfortunately, as the night grows, things only get more dangerous and bizarre. After a few minutes of mysterious light phenomena, Ray disappears.
Right?
This alarms everyone, and all hell breaks loose as Billy informs Olivia of the incident and rushes to Noah. Then the front door mysteriously starts to open. Horrified, Olivia forces the door closed and, using Ray's rifle, shoots through it, hoping to kill anything on the other side. However, the door opens anyway and continues transmitting the light. Billy recloses the door, grabs Olivia and Noah, and tries to lead them upstairs until they hear a mysterious being opening the attic hatchet. The night gets more sinister as the trio soon realizes that Kenneth, Arlene, and Genghis have all disappeared. Terrified out of their minds, the trio tries to drive away, but realizes that the truck is out of gas. Hence, hoping to outlive the horror, they start running for their lives until they reach the street. Then, after a few minutes, as the trio aimlessly walks on the dark street, they see a vehicle, and Billy runs towards it to ask for help, but is, however, disappointed when the owner becomes suspicious and speeds back. As they try to process their helpless and confusing predicament, a light appears and starts to fly above them. Luckily, a few moments later, after being informed of the dropped call, the sheriff and his colleague, Deputy Miles, drive to the Andersons' residence, but find the trio on the street.
Why the three of you out in both the middle of the night and nowhere looking like hell?
Despite taking note of the trio's detailed account of everything that happened and the mysterious disappearances, the police have a hard time comprehending any of it. Fortunately, knowing everything the Andersons have been through, the police decide to give the trio the benefit of the doubt and drive them back to the house. There, while the trio stays in the squad car, Sheriff Reese and the deputy walk through the dark house and try to inspect the peculiar scene inside. After combing through the scene and ruling out a burglary, the police realize that something more sinister had occurred in the house, but failed to understand the nature of it.
Something definitely happened here tonight. We just need to get to the bottom of it.
Then the sheriff interviews Olivia once more, and after hearing everything again, he confesses that he's having a hard time working out the complex case. Then as the trio declines his offer to take them to the station for the night, the sheriff prepares to leave and promises to return in an hour with some officials to figure everything out. Before he leaves, the sheriff advises Olivia to keep this incident under wraps, as he fears that it would bring bad publicity to the family and tarnish Maisie's case. Then, after escorting the police out, the trio barricades themselves in Maisie's room and hopes it will all be over soon. As the sheriff and Deputy Miles return to the station, they are confused to see it overflowing with people who claim to have experienced the weird light sightings. Then one of the officers, Deputy Doyle, makes a shocking report to the sheriff.
I saw
Who?
Macy Henderson.
In the morning at the house, Billy leaves the room and goes downstairs to get some water. There he is delighted to see Genghis appear out of nowhere and greets him lovingly.
Hey, boy. Oh my God, Genghis! Hey!
Then the light appears and illuminates the house. Billy rushes back to the room but is unable to enter it, as a luminescent creature appears and gently taps Olivia in the head. The creature's touch transports Olivia back in time to that fateful day her young daughter disappeared. First, she watches as she and Ray prepare to head to town.
Love you too, sweetheart. Won't be long, just a couple hours.
She then becomes emotional seeing Maisie sitting in her room and journaling and calls out to her lovingly to no avail.
Maisie!
Then Olivia sees Maisie rushing to answer the door and is bewildered to see Kenneth arrive.
Hey, Genghis, how you doing, fella?
After lovingly greeting her uncle, Maisie leaves him downstairs so that he can wait for her parents and returns to her room. Kenneth goes to get some water from the kitchen sink, but pauses there as he battles with his demons.
What are you doing?
Kenneth momentarily seems to win the internal battle and proceeds to leave the house. However, at the very last moment, to Olivia's utter horror, he turns back and goes upstairs to Maisie's room. There, he locks in the innocent young girl, who loved and trusted him, sexually assaults and murders her. Olivia's heart is broken to pieces as she witnesses the fate of her precious daughter and becomes inconsolable. Once he commits the heinous crime, Kenneth is consumed in guilt and stumbles around the house trying to clean up the crime scene. Then the light reappears once more and brings Olivia back to the present, where she finds herself lying in Maisie's bed and soon finds her nose bleeding. Moments later, Noah, who has also experienced the same visions, nurses his nosebleed and calls out to his mother in utter agony. Olivia and Noah lovingly embrace in shared pain. Having witnessed the same horrific incident, Ray appears out of nowhere and cries his eyes out for his poor daughter while being consoled by Noah. After each experiencing the same visions and witnessing what happened to Maisie, all the missing family members appear and somberly reunite. While everyone stands still in utter anguish, Olivia goes downstairs and finds a guilt-ridden Kenneth crying. As the family watches Kenneth breaking down, Arlene attacks him. Soon, Sheriff Reese arrives and takes a moment to process everything. He then organizes a search party into the woods to finally bring Maisie home. It's then revealed how and where Kenneth had dumped his niece's body, and Maisie is soon located. After digging up the shallow grave, the sheriff and his men find Maisie. A second memorial service is held a few days later, and Maisie is finally given a proper burial. In the aftermath, the family and the sheriff realize that the extraterrestrial beings only wanted to help bring justice to the poor young girl who met with her traumatic end at the hands of someone close to her, someone she loved and trusted. The family appreciates their help and realizes that the case would have never been solved without their intervention. Finally, laying Maisie to rest brings the Andersons close together and helps them start the lengthy journey towards healing from their grief. After a year of being distant, Ray finally returns to his marital bed and silently vows to support his wife and fight for his marriage for eternity.